Gary, moving to thing number three, we're talking Macy's here, ticker M. And don't blame me if you've heard this here before, but we're talking, I think, a fourth straight week of really weak retail sales. Gary, thing number three, Macy disappoints.
It has been a solid month of bad retail results as these companies all report pre-holiday earnings. So for the fourth consecutive week, we are talking about retail. Macy's reported basically they had an issue. I shouldn't laugh. They had a fraud issue. One of their employees somehow managed to hide $151 million of unreported delivery expenses. But the key issue is the earnings report was bad. Revenue was down 2.4% year over year. And adjusted earnings had been 21 cents, dropped to 4 cents. That is a gigantic drop. You know, you're losing more than 80% of your earnings. End of year adjusted earnings guidance was cut. So they lowered their guidance. But, and this is a key thing, and Andrew was smart pointing this out, that Macy's did raise their revenue guidance a little bit. Now, let's stop and think this through for a minute. If Macy's is increasing their revenue guidance and decreasing their earnings guidance, the best conclusion that we can draw is they're probably planning on cutting prices. And what that means is they probably have too much inventory, right, in the back room in their stores. They realize they're not going to be able to sell it full price. So in order to make their new their new revenue guidance, they're going to have to cut pricing. That's not the sign of a strong consumer.
Garrett, it seems like similar comparables here as we've talked about with Walmart's, the Dollar Trees of the world, even Macy's kind of sitting in between that low cost luxury goods, right? We're seeing the same things here, just in terms of the consumer either shifting to those low cost providers with inflation just really hurting everybody in their pocketbooks.
That's exactly right. Full priced mall retail is not doing well. We've seen bad results from Macy's, from Best Buy, from help me out,
Foot
Andrew. Who
Locker,
who?
Foot Locker,
American
American
Eagle.
Eagle.
Yeah, all right. And we've seen a big shift. Target had a bad quarter as well. And we've seen a shift toward affordable options like Walmart and Dollar Tree. The dollar stores are doing all right. So, I think that's been a big part of it. And, Rob, I've seen the story on Macy's for decades. And I can tell you a couple decades ago, the story was okay, they're going to lose in store shopping to e commerce, but they have all of this land and all of these store leases and they're below market leases and, it'll be worth a fortune, except mall-based retail is not doing great. Macy's has been slow to adapt. In general, being a physical mall retail anchor tenant in pretty much every mall in the country was just a bad bet. Everybody's moving away from department stores, away from malls, toward online shopping, toward boutiques. So, Macy's, they're an iconic American brand, but they haven't been going the right direction on this. One of the other things that concerns us about this is Macy's is going to need to refinance a lot of their debt in the coming years. Anyone want to take a bet on when they refinance, whether they're going to do so at higher rates or lower rates? Chances are their operating income, sorry, not the operating, after the operating income less their interest. So basically, looking at pre-tax income, that's not going to be in their favor, right? That's going to be a giant headwind for them. Andrew, what else are you seeing here?
Yeah, and there's one thing that I also want to point out that I think there's a lot of internal stuff with Macy's as well. For example, like Dillard's, it's a department store brand also. It's traded really well and they've been able to be lean enough to actually be successful as a mall retailer. So while the discretionary items still aren't doing that great, companies have still been able to change and adapt well enough in the past 10 years because everyone's known that malls are in the future kind of phasing out, but some companies have still been able to somewhat kind of make ends meet pretty well compared to what Macy's has just been overall just slow to react across the board.
Gary, anything else to add on this note?
No, I think Andrew's made a great point. The only thing I'd add to that is, I think it's Nordstrom's that has done maybe a better job staying in touch with their customer needs. You
Mhm.
know, Macy's, they were sort of like this mid-priced
Mhm.
everything to everybody, and that was a really good plan for a long time. You know, when people went to the mall, it was before online shopping. When department stores, the idea of a department store was you didn't need to go to 5 different stores or 10 different stores. You'd go to one place and, you know, take the elevator, the escalator up and down, and, you know, find everything you were looking for. I think the days where you can have success as a retailer being all things to all people are past us. So Andrew's right. They haven't responded well to where their customer is heading. And it's hard. It's hard when you're running, you know, hundreds, thousands of stores across almost every state. But, you know, your options are cannibalize yourself or let somebody else do it for you.